Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yes, I've decided that since the Minmus base is relatively complete, I think that we need to have an escape system. Mostly for, in case if there's bad things that happen, they can get inside of one of these little pods and leave the surface of Minmus and return back to Kerbin. This will only support 12 Kerbals, and this is going to be a two-launch, thing. This is going to be the first part of the launch. I'm gonna probably record the second refueling mission and also the going to Minmus and everything else. Minmus Base is pretty much done. I went and cleaned up a lot of the site as well. I deleted almost everything except for, like the crane, and I just kept some of the stuff that actually is, worthwhile keeping on the surface. Mostly because, I cleared up some of the, frame rate issues that I was having. It is okay now, but it's not like the best, I guess, if you want to say that. I could probably get it a little bit better, but that's pretty much the best it's going to be. I really think so. Now, this thing is not going to be connected to the base in any way. I'm not even going to land it in the same exact area. I'm going to put it about 2 kilometers away, something like that, 2.5 kilometers away, so it's just out of distance of being loaded, and that's it. Like, I don't want to end up creating, a really bad lag issue around that Minmus base. So we'll see the best we can get. It's putting something like this even there is kind of an issue as it is. So, just having it is a cool thing, but, once again, not going to be connecting it only because of the fact that I don't want to just completely destroy any possible chance of there actually being decent frame rate around that base. So this thing is a very heavy load, which is why I'm going to have to do 2 separate launches, one for fuel next. The amount of fuel that this thing has is just insane. The payload itself, if you want to consider all of this the payload, it's like somewhere around 70 tons. So it really just has problems even getting anywhere near that ballpark of getting in orbit. So, and this has got to be one of my heaviest launches as well. I mean, even these little tanks, a lot of people, these little tanks, just those are 2 tons. So there's 12 of them, I believe. 12. And there are 2 of the small RCS, or 4 of the small RCS tanks on this platform. Now, this platform itself should get it into Minmus orbit and back to Kerbin. I'm really got my fingers crossed when I say that, but should is the key word there. And this thing is just jittering around and dancing. But this launch is actually going a little bit better than my previous, so I'm feeling a little bit good about this right now. I ended up with somewhere around, with my last launch, it really didn't go that well. Maybe because I did a little bit more of a tilt this time to get it a little bit further into orbit, and I didn't get it further out than I normally do. But overall, this thing is just, it's a behemoth. I would like to say I could get it there in one shot, but I don't think it's going to be a possibility, only because this tank really does get, pretty much all the fuel gets sucked away after a while. And it looks like, I mean, this is going pretty well, to be honest. I just, wow. But this thing will be sent to Minmus, and will land on the surface. We got landing gear on it, and I think I'm going to land with the actual engines used for the, you know, basically for the thing, the launch system, you know, for them to get off the surface. I think I'm just going to land with that and just try not to burn away a lot of fuel. It should work. Oh my god, burning away all the RCS. I do have, this is permanently attached. It's an RCS tank and a fuel tank, and those will stay on there for the surface. I thought it would be kind of a good idea to have a little bit extra fuel once I land, just to transfer out everything and for everything to be good. So I'll just get a little bit more speed going here. I think everything should be alright though. This is definitely a better launch, but once again, if you look, we're only on a half tank of fuel, and I really don't think we'll be able to make it there with just a half tank, and I'm not going to just go and chance it. So I'd rather just refuel this behemoth and be happy with what we got there. So, because usually this is my, you know, with when a lot of you guys that watch my episodes, this is usually my landing, and I use this to get into orbit, to do the burn, get into orbit, and land. So, without that engine and just using the engines that are on all the pods, I don't think it's going to work that well. So, you know, I don't want to make this a super long episode, but you know, this is going to probably be a really short episode, but overall, I'll put these things up. I mean, I'll cover some of the basics of what these things are since we are in orbit, and I will deploy a few of these solar panels just to save on power. This thing doesn't have its own, doesn't have like a thermic generator or anything on it, so if you look on the system, you know, basically the way it works out, and 3 Kerbals got to ride along. I don't know why these other ones are empty. I guess 3 is like the max you can launch at once or something, but what ends up happening is once it takes off, these 4 engines activate, and these tanks here get used first. If you see the fuel lines, then once these tanks are expended, they decouple, and you're left with this main fuel tank, the 4 engines, and your 4 RCS tanks left over. We used a little bit of the fuel on there, but that's not that bad. We're probably going to end up using a lot more eventually, but I was trying to figure out a way of putting I wanted to put just like the 1/4 of a tank that they have on here, but it just wouldn't allow me to do that. So this was the best I could come up with. Now, these things don't have landing gear. They're strictly to get off the surface, and that's all they're being used for, just to get off the surface of Minmus. They're not going to go to any other planets, and they're not going to be doing any other things other than just taking off. Once it gets into Kerbin orbit, this, you know, once it gets into a suborbital trajectory with Kerbin, this part right here will decouple, and all will be left is a dredge chute. I have a problem pronouncing that word for some reason. And go away! All this stuff is like just in the way. There we go. Nope, stop it. No. There we go. Yeah, so anyways, once we get into to Kerbin, there's 3 regular chutes and the dredge chute, and that should be more than sufficient to slow us down. Just the 3 chutes alone are good enough. I put these on just for fun. Didn't really need them, but, you know, obviously. But overall, this design has worked. I mean, it is, with me, as long as it gets out into orbit, that's kind of the main part. Like, as long as it gets out in orbit, that's the, you're home free. After that, only thing I need to do right now is there is this one docking port here. That will, once I do my refueling mission, which I will record, the refueling mission will, just refuel everything, and then afterwards they will be going to Minmus. Yes. So anyways, guys, no, it's not been the most exciting of episodes, and my god, this thing has a lot of torque. Anyways, thank you for watching, and yeah, I will see you next time.